everybody. I'm Roger Richards, and welcome to this recording of a wonderful session that we had on connecting with our spiritual guardians. And that's exactly what we did even before the session officially began. So I've left that part in, and enjoy it. And then there's a lovely meditation that concludes after the discussion. So enjoy, and I'll talk to you again soon. So Emily, have you done much spiritual work yourself, or is it this sort of a new kind of idea for you to jump on here?
I would say that I very much identify with having had a spiritual experience / awakening about 1.5 years ago.
Okay.
And it specifically coincided with getting sober.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had a real experience, and I've been chasing that high of spirituality ever since, and just trying new things. So I wouldn't say that I've done spiritual work, but I'm a very good student of it.
Okay. Emily, there's someone who's actually with me in spirit who's connected with you. They're making me really buzzy. I don't normally do this before we actually open the session, but I'll just tell you what they're telling me. Okay.
Sure.
You've got someone with you who's watching over you. We all do, but they actually intervened, and they've actually given you a little tap on the shoulder and said, "Hey, Emily, we've got to get this sorted out here. Your life is very valuable. You've come to this earth for a reason. The world actually needs something that you've brought in your soul, and we got to get you sorted, and we're going to get you to work." Now it's a gradual pathway, but you're here for a deeper reason, and just hopefully you can be held on the path. Okay. Now we'll probably get into that. Which side is it? I think it's grandmother on your father's side in the spirit world. I think they're with you. Can you place grandmother on your father's side in the spirit world? And
yes,
she looks a bit different to you. Like she's got curly hair, dark kind of hair, and sort of had graying tips. Can you place that look with her?
yes.
Okay, well, she's here talking to you at the moment, and she had a little cat. She's got a
Yes.
little, I think it's a black cat with a little bit of white. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, oh sure, absolutely.
All right, well, she's here with you right now, and she's been with you for this journey, and she's how'd you say, it's like she's watching you, but she's got like your spirit guide with you who she's sort of working with as a team, and
Yes.
she's saying, look, Mr. Spirit Guide, can you tell Emily da, and can you send these, like using the spirit guide as a channel? Okay.
Yeah.
Like she's telling me she wasn't really spiritual, but she had a little bit of interest in like shuffling a tarot card every now and then with a friend or whatever.
Yes.
Okay, well that's her, but now she really knows, and she gets it, and she knows you got something about you that you can connect with people, and it's very important that you connect with people for good things. You're gonna help a lot of people. All right, she wants to tell you that now. Okay.
Thank you.
And you got sorry everyone, I'm just doing an impromptu little
Hello everybody. So sorry.
Emily's grandmother has dropped into the session, but she's not on the Zoom. She's in the spirit world on the Zoom spiritual world app, which you can't really get down here. You can only get it up there. But she's also wants you to know that you've got a couple of children coming into your life. Don't. It's okay. It's all at the right time.
I'm taking it back a bit. Taking it back.
Yeah.
Go back.
And they're going to be special little kids too, and they're going to need you on your at the top of your game for the good reasons. All right, to bring all the good stuff to them. They're relying on you to be in good shape. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, and grandmother's going to help sort them out.
Okay, great.
All right. So yeah, that's not normally how I start one of these sessions, but yeah.
Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. All right. Now, what we normally do on here, folks, I just got someone else dropping in the circle here, so I'll let Catherine in. Just let her get her audio sorted out. Okay, just pays to put your camera on and say hello, doesn't it, Emily? Yeah,
It is. It worked out great for me, so I highly recommend it.
yeah. And just a quick hi to Catherine, who's just dropped in too. So we're just about to start. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pin myself on my screen for the sake of my little intro. People who don't know me, I've got a YouTube channel too that I live stream these to, and then if I get time, I go back and either delete them or I edit them out and get them down to a nice punchy little format. So I do a little intro at the start for that, and then we will get rolling. Okay. So hi everybody, my name's Roger Richards, and welcome to spiritualonline.org. And if you've joined us, we've already done a lovely reading here for Emily, who's in the group, just to just to connect on here. But today we're going to be talking about reconnecting or connecting with our spiritual guides, or with spirituality generally. So this means different things for different people, and I will try and open up a discussion on this, and then we'll lead into a meditation. And probably during the meditation, probably do some channeling work, probably on this particular topic as well. Normally, one of the spirit guides who's connected with this group will come through and share with us. So that's something to look forward to. And usually there's some visual component or some energetic activation component to the meditation as well, to help us on this journey of connecting with, well, say the spirit world, but it's actually our higher selves as well. Now, if that is a new concept to you, there's several people who've done a lot of past life regression work. And during those sessions, one of the things that has come out is that whilst we are here incarnated and living and breathing as we are now, because of the way that we are evolving as human beings, it's like not our higher self can fully incarnate here. In fact, as on average, they say it's about 17%. So this is my take on it, as we develop our energetic body and the capacity of our soul here to incarnate, then our spirit can come in and do the work that it is very powerfully blessed to do here. But at the moment, we are still like young children in this world, evolutionary, and we need to develop the powers of our soul to house the presence of our higher spirit. So this is a distinction between the soul and the spirit. The soul is like the vehicle that can house the presence of the spirit, and there is an interface between the soul and our body, which we'll be talking about a little bit today, how to get the soul and how to get the physical body in shape to house the soul, and then the spirit works through us. So they are quite different things. But what I'd like to try and do here is just to throw the conversation open a little bit before we go into a meditative space. And there's a couple of people on here who know me pretty well. Vanessa's joined us and Mari's joined us, who are regulars on this session. But why would you guys, or you good folk, even think about connecting or reconnecting with your spiritual guides or your spiritual people? Does anyone, you can say the obvious or say something very unusual, but why would you want to do that? There's lots of reasons, and I'll cover them. But Vanessa, who's been on here, you're not at work, are you, Vanessa?
I'm on the bus.
Oh, right. Okay. Now, Vanessa, why are you on here? Like, in terms of connecting spiritually, is there something that you'd like to achieve out of it, or is there an objective for you? I'm going to get all the people on the bus looking strange at you.
Okay, so now I'm outside. Why do I want to, sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, why would you want to connect with your spiritual people or your spiritual guides?
To help people. Exactly what you just did in the beginning.
Okay, right. Yeah, that's a good one, and I'll expand on that a little bit shortly as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, now there's a couple of ways that is done too, and traditionally you know, you see this kind of work being done in spiritual churches, a little bit like the reading that I gave for Emily just before, for those who were with us, you know, a bit earlier. So with you, Emily, when I gave you that reading, how did you feel?
Oh man, I wish I had the right words to verbalize it. I am aware of one guide that I have. I'm very much aware of it, but I've been wondering if there are others. And I felt, uh, for lack of a better word, an absolute presence. The second you directed the conversation towards me,
Mm-hmm.
I felt seen by like a lot of entities.
Yeah.
um and to be honest, just selfishly, it made me feel very important.
Yeah. Well, you
so
are.
so it was amazing.
Okay. They're still with me too. And part of it is not so much the words, but it's the frequency, the vibration, and the mood, which can work quite deeply into us and move us from one state of being to another. And I find it can be very empowering for people.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, empowering, that's a perfect word.
Mm,
Absolutely.
okay. Now, I won't, a lot of people need closer as well. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now, I'll come to that. I'll see if anyone else wants to jump in on that before I do. Jai, I think it's Jai who's got their hand up there. Do you want to
It's
jump in?
Jay.
Jay?
It's Jay.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of feeling myself where I don't want to get lost. I know that I'm connected, but I haven't been feeling grounded at all, or I'm in a place in my life where I'm between a rock and a hard place,
Mhm.
especially in my marriage. I'm not understanding exactly which way to go or the decisions to make.
Mm,
So I'm trying to connect and learn how to do that for myself so I don't have to feel so razzled and running to other people to help me all the time,
mm,
and elevate enough so that when I get past this plateau in my life, I can be able to be more of a tool for the spirit for other people.
mm,
Because I feel myself having a mission in relationships. I feel that. But right now I'm in my own what do you call it, turmoil, or I'm in my own challenges is more of a better word.
mm,
So you know what I'm saying, I need to make time to connect for myself, learn how to, and what do I need to do. And also I want some help. I want some help from people like you
mm,
that can connect and help me make decisions and help me clarify, because that's all I need right now. Right now I need clarity to
mhm.
make a decision, and then now I'm ready to, okay, now teach me how to connect for myself.
Okay. And I will say to that, if any of my family members are watching this, just fast forward this for a minute, all right? um, look, I'm in an interesting stage in my life to have actually got my Saturn return going on, if anyone knows a little bit like that. And it's like all the big things, career, home, relationship situation as well. All of these are in quite a very, 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 very interesting stage of
Mm-hmm.
potential change. And it can be very unsettling, particularly, you know, because I'm, you know, at this stage of my life as well. And I know I've been shown in a dream that everything's going to be fine, but for now, I just have to let it go. I just have to be in a state of believing it's going to be fine. And because of the connection I've developed, they don't necessarily tell me directly, but through a recurring type of dream that I get from the spirit world, it's always true. I know that it's going to be fine, but I just have to relax. All right. So sometimes the answer's not quite there, or the timing's not quite there. You just have to go through a certain period of sorting things out, preparation, and perhaps doing the background work required for change to come about. And that's one of the things I'm doing. And one of the things I'm doing on this as well is healing my inner trauma from early childhood with a lady in the UK who's very, very spiritual, but she's also one of the world's foremost hypnotherapists and past life regressionists, Liz Vincent, who's got I've got an interview or a session with her on this platform on my YouTube channel for anyone who wants to check that out. But yeah, so that she's very powerful in working through some of the things in my life, but she's got the spiritual connection. And when she takes me in, I can actually see sort of clairvoyantly what the situations are and understand some of the spiritual representations of what is shown to me in those sessions. And it's very healing, very powerful. And you understand a lot more about this world, our place in it, and the world that's above us. It's quite amazing.
I agree. It is amazing, but it's hard at the same time.
It is very much so, I must say. And this is the ability of us to become the masters, or masters, mistresses of our soul. And usually it's the world, the physical material world, and all the outside sensory things, that throw our soul off its game. And our higher self isn't being the master of it. So we need to rise above what the earth throws at us emotionally and make sure we've got a good hold on the steering wheel, on the helm of our ship. And we can be knocked around in the storms from our daily life, from our mundane lives. But if we find the empowerment and the purpose, our higher purpose, we can hold on to that helm and steer it through the waters, not only for ourselves, but as a shining light for others as well.
Right.
Now, there's reasons why the world is pretty hard on us, life lessons and learning and strengthening in our soul and actually transforming this beautiful world. But it's like going to the gym. It can be hard work, and we can be a bit in a bit of pain and discomfort for a few days after a good workout, but on a soul level. Okay. I think what Vanessa mentioned today was bringing comfort to others as well. So if you've lost someone and you've got some unfinished business and they've passed away, normally connecting spiritually as well in the traditional way can bring about a sense of healing, coming together, and moving through some of those issues. Okay. Now, did someone else would like to throw something into the discussion? Any other points of why we would connect? Okay, Carol.
I've kind of been seeking some guidance for things like what you mentioned. And I was praying for my parents who are gone, and ancestors, whoever, to help guide me. And in my neighborhood, I live in the city. A while ago, I could hear crows, which is something we never had here. And the very next morning after I did that, something happened that had never happened before. There were 3 crows in the tree outside, and they were making a lot of noise. And I felt like it was a direct connection to that. And it kind of scared me. And I thought, I don't really know how to do this. I didn't want to summon something but I didn't know what it was, and they eventually went away. They're not there anymore. So I don't, I guess I'm looking for a guidance or a validation of what I'm doing is correct, or how to do that, how to ask for help, how to keep out something that you don't want to come in,
Okay.
Or how to help. Maybe it wasn't bad, and
Great. Well, in a moment, Carol, I'll step us through a couple of the things that you've touched on there. A couple of things that I'll make a distinction of here is that I generally we all generally have a spiritual guide or a team of them working with us in different ways that we can call upon them. Now, that is very different from me, say, calling upon a family member who's passed away, like to to wake them up, like summoning up the dead, you know, as some people would put it. However, quite often my family members are around me and wanting to reach down to me, and they've got my spirit guides here to do it. So I tend to allow whoever wants to come my way to help me to come in without me necessarily calling on a particular person in spirit. Having said that, you know, quite often Archangel Michael and the archangels are often there because they're here to serve us, and we use their service wisely, call upon them wisely. So it depends on the situation, but they are there to help us. There's no question about that. That's the role of the angels and the archangels. It's like they've taken a vow of service to help humans, because we have the free will, and we down here in a physical world trying to bring divinity into a physical world, which is a pretty tough gig. So that's why they're here to help us do that. But that's very different, for example, from what people say about summoning up the dead, which when you pass away, sometimes you're going to hang around and help us. Sometimes you've got to go off to distant places and go through a lot of your own healing as well.
They come in dreams.
Yeah.
My father especially. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, giving them the acknowledgement, and I used to do the Lord's Prayer with my brother when he passed away, and 3 years after that happened, he came to me. I'd never had any experience like this before. I wasn't clairvoyant or anything, but I had this clear voice in my head and he said, "Thank you, that really worked. It's helped me on my way now, and you don't have to worry about it again." So that was a tap on the shoulder for me. How did that happen? I knew it was real. So it does help. Reading something spiritually and dedicating it to someone in the spirit world helps. That's for sure. That's for sure. And to send love up can be very healing for someone who's had a hard time down here. It's quite reassuring for them. And it's a little bit like what Emily said before. It's like having the acknowledgement, and it's empowering when another spiritual being or human being gives the acknowledgement to another, particularly across the dimensions. It's a very interesting and empowering thing. Like I said, it's not so much the words that we speak, but sometimes it's the mood and the soul force that's behind it. Now I just pass over to Catherine, who's got a hand up. Hi, Catherine.
Oh, hi. I have a question. I'm actually looking for a continuation of relationship. Okay. So, you know, clearly one's on the other side, one's on this side. So that's what I'm looking for, a continuation of a relationship. And in the hope that someday when I go to the other side, then we can move on.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Now, what I will say to that is that often we do travel in soul groups or soul families, and we do reconnect through different lives as well. And there's usually, if it's someone who's particularly close with you, there was probably certain things that were already lined up in your life for you two to come in with each other. Now, having said that, there's also this thing about two souls having their own pathway where they may come together, drift apart, come together at different times as well. So it's sort of understanding and respecting this movement. It's almost like a dance, I guess, of each person having their own journey. But here on Earth, it is a bit more difficult because we are removed quite a bit in terms of frequency and dimensions from if you want to call it heaven or the life after this one. But when you do lead this life, you do feel far more connected or reconnected to Source, and we're all part of Source. We're all from the same place. But yes, so reading to them is one thing, and then just being aware of your thoughts. You can have imaginative conversations with them, and that can eventually open up the doorway to something that's a little bit beyond that. It's like working with the imagination can then take you up to inspiration, so inspirational speaking or listening, and then it can take you up to illumination. So it's a good way to start. Now, in terms of connecting with the spirit world, this is exactly the kind of thing that you can do in nature as well. So when you go out into nature, most people go for a walk in the park and they think of all the problems they've got and dump all their problems out in the park, in the nature. But if you go out there and actually are very conscious and sensing into the life, particularly the nature beings and the elemental beings and the mood and the feelings of different parts of the nature aspect of the part, you can wake up part of your soul to connect spiritually with nature and with the cosmos generally. And say for Vanessa, who's on the bus, who was on the bus, another little technique you can do is you sit on the bus, close your eyes, listening, hear someone who's talking, if someone's speaking, and zone in on the voice and start interpreting what you think is the quality of the person who's speaking, trying to understand their soul on a soul level without the visual and without the other sort of judgment. And you're opening up these soul senses to be able to receive something on a different frequency. So these sorts of exercises can help you then when you're either in, if you can call it a prayer, like if you're really sort of effectively praying for someone, which is like meditating for someone, you can then hear the voice back. Okay, it's all different kinds of exercises to make ourselves a little bit fitter. Okay, now before we move on, anyone else who'd like to add something to the conversation? Otherwise, we will go in and do a little bit of our own connecting. Okay, we shall do that. So I'm just going to pop everyone on mute for now, but you'll have a chance to come back onto the conversation. And I will invite everyone to close their eyes. It's always good to have a little sip of water too in between the moods of this kind of work. And I literally try and now change my mood from one of an intellectual discussion to one of now relaxing the thought processes and relaxing my feelings and just going into more of a state of just being. Okay. And one of the ways to do that is as we close our eyes, and in closing your eyes, you're also closing off your outer senses to a certain degree. And as you close them off more, you are then more open to tuning into the inner senses, which effectively connect us to our higher aspect. And to help take my mind off things initially, this is like going through phases, I focus on the breath. So as I'm breathing in, I'm just aware, and again, imaginatively at first, I imagine that I'm breathing in light. And I'm drawing this light into the center of my head and actually holding my breath for a few moments. So I'm just breathing in light. I hold it and imagine the light just permeating through me. And then on the out breath, I am relaxing and releasing. So initially, I'm just releasing the social buzz of chatting on here, releasing that little bit of anticipation of actually logging into a session like this and going through the hoops, just letting all that go. Then breathing in light and holding my breath for a few moments once more. And in light is spiritual wisdom, is spiritual connection, and we're just opening our mind up to that, to being at one with it. And then on the out breath, I'm also releasing any other little things that have been on my mind, or big things as well, hand them over to the spirit world so that they may get a good unencumbered look at what's going on in your life, handing it all over, and then breathing in light once again. And now on the out breath, I'm just releasing and relaxing my physical body. Now, to help you do that, if you wish, just first of all begin with your feet and your toes, and sort of squeeze and put as much pressure in your feet and your toes as you can, and then release them. And then with your calf muscles, give them a good tighten, push them, and then relax them. Then with your knees, you can either push them together or imagine them being very tight and very stressed, and you can apply your muscles there and then relax. Same with your thighs and where you're sitting on your bottom. If you tighten those muscles up, your glutes, and then relax them. Now the same with your tummy area. You can have some tension in your tummy muscles, and then relax them. And the muscles around your shoulders and chest, we can tense those up for a moment. And relax them. Same with our fingers and our hands. We can tense out, even make little fists. Hold it tight for a moment and then let it go. And the same with our arms. Tension your arms and let it go. And just with your jaw, you can hold your jaw very tightly and then let it go. And now what I'd like you to imagine that you are sitting in a space and all around you is like a sphere of light. And this sphere of light extends, it's beyond your auric field. And with your mind, again, you can imagine or put yourself into a space that you feel is a sacred space. It is your sacred space, your holy temple. So in this space, it is a place that is very pure, it's very harmonious, and it is a space that is very conducive to your spiritual people coming more closely to you. In our normal everyday life, we have quite a sharp and heavy vibration around us, which makes it hard for our guides to connect. But here we are deliberately letting go of our prickly energy and our lower energy. We're letting all of our troubles just fall down literally into the heavier earth. And as such, our soul is starting to shine through the dust and the troubles of our earthly, daily, mundane lives. We can continually imagine that our heaviness is falling into the earth. We're just relinquishing all the things that have happened to us and allowing our soul to be relieved of them for a short moment, at least in our sacred space. And because we are purifying our space and opening up the door to the spirit world, we need to protect our space as well. And it doesn't really matter what words you use, it's more the intent. But this is how I like to protect my sacred space and prepare for spiritual work. Great Divine Spirit, we ask that you shine your light, your love, your presence, and your protection into our group at this time. And each of us can set an intention for the remainder of this session. But I usually say something along the lines of, I come here for the inner development of my spirit and soul, that I may walk my earthly pathway with more understanding and enlightenment, that I may lead a more purposeful life, clear my karma, learn my life lessons, and also be of service to others and to the divine, that I may bring more love and light and compassion and empathy into this world. Now, some of us come here to learn wisdom and knowledge. Some of us come here for personal healing, some for guidance, some for social or spiritual connection. Whatever it is, may each of us receive what will help us on our pathway. So that is generally how I set up the mood for spiritual connection. And before switching on today, I had some sage, and I put some sage through my room just as a preparation, asking that my space, my physical space, be protected and purified as well. So I also asked my private personal gatekeeper to protect the space in which I sit, and that whatever impulses that come to me from the spirit world come only from a pure divine source that serve only my highest good. And energetically, you are putting a barrier around you just with that thought, and it works. Okay. Now, the gateways to higher consciousness and connection with our higher self in the spirit world is through our chakra system. It is like a series of portals through which different aspects of ourselves can be more powerfully present in our consciousness here on earth. And likewise, portals through which we can more readily reach back up into the spiritual heights. And when I say spiritual heights, it's right around us. We're actually part of that matrix. It's just that we can't really see it with our physical eyes because it is non-physical. But some people start from the bottom. I like to start from the top because I feel we're spiritual beings first who've incarnated from above down to earth. And I run through the chakras that way, which is a little bit different to what some people do, and I appreciate and respect that. So I start with my crown chakra, and through my crown chakra, which is just above your head, it's like a portal, and through there is like the frequency of divine wisdom, divine connection coming down through the top of my head, and like a gentle flow, like a gentle buzz of amethyst frequency. It's coming down through my head, and I'm allowing that to flow right down through my body. And I can even just at first imagine maybe a little tingling kind of vibration, but it's always there. But now that I'm focused on it, I can actually feel it. So it's running right down through me, down through my legs, down through the soles of my feet, and deep into Mother Earth. Traveling around right through the depths and the core of Mother Earth, connecting, grounding my spirituality to my Earth Mother. And then from my Earth Mother up through the arches of my feet, her own divine frequency with all of its organic goodness and its own pathway that I am harmonizing with. And that streams back up to spiritual heights as well. So it's like I'm a conduit for Mother Earth. Then down to my third eye, in which I can also bring in other psychic impressions and see things in all their truthfulness and clarity. Down to my throat chakra. I'll go through these quite quickly, which brings wisdom into my words that I speak. That's what I'm empowering myself as I go through these. Down to my heart chakra, which if you do your own meditation, it's good to hold on to this one for quite a while and imagine a beautiful blanket of warm love being wrapped around you from your guides and your spiritual family. And we can imagine we are totally absorbed in their love. And then through the portals of our heart chakra, it can interpenetrate deeper down into our physical heart, our physical body. And through our physical heart, the warmth of this love traveling right through, coursing through our body, bringing the warmth of spiritual love to every part of our being. And the next portal, which is also very important for me, but for everyone too, but in particular for me, if you've got any trauma in your life, anything that's been hard for you, then we're just going to imagine that we're just pushing back out all this stuff that has been projected upon us It's like clearing out the house, clearing out the earthly house. And then allowing our higher self to step into our sacred space, into the bubble around us. Imagine your higher self just standing behind the portal of your solar plexus here. And they can even step through the doorway and be more present with you, standing right before you now, your higher self. And you can imagine that you're even symbolically placing your hand to hand with them. And just reconnecting. And down to our sacral chakra. Okay, so just focusing on our sacral chakra, and this is where we can connect and be more aware of our own emotions first of all, and then also the emotions of someone who's coming towards us and understanding where they're coming from. And this is very important, I believe, for developing the forces of empathy within relationships, because usually what happens in a relationship isn't rational, it's more based on these forces of empathy, of sympathy and antipathy on a soul level. So just imagine this beautiful flow coming in. It's usually depicted in a bright orange frequency. And then down to our base chakra, our life essence in a beautiful red. And imagine that we're drawing in the life forces from the etheric world, and allowing the life force to travel through us unencumbered, traveling up our spinal column and out through to every part of our body. And then I appeal to my spiritual guides to help with the harmonization of my energy field. And in turn myself, I'm also ensuring or trying to remove or let go of any angst or anything, any wrongdoings, anything that's grinded against me, just trying to let it all go, because it does interfere with your energy system. It blocks it. Now, just for a couple of minutes, I just want you to focus on this theme of connecting with our spiritual guides. And you can focus on it in any way you like, on whether the question is how to do it, what is something that you could do or continue to do to help with it. It could be to do with the benefits of it. Now, as you're doing that, I'm actually going to see if a spiritual guide wants to connect with me and speak with us on this theme. So as you hold your focus, I will hold mine for a few minutes. And just in saying that, I'm aware of a stream coming down through the top of my head. And it's actually streaming down just before me. So just staying focused on this theme of connecting with our spiritual guides. Okay, I've got someone who's connecting with us. And I will give you the words or the pictures just as I'm getting them now. So my friends, I welcome you just in the symbolic effort that you have made to be part of this particular session, which is an opportunity for you to exercise your will and your effort to connect with the spiritual world or to your own aspect of the higher self. And the picture I'd like to give to you is for you to imagine that you are sitting and looking into a mirror. And usually when you do that, you will see your physical self looking back at you. But what I wish to impress upon you is the image that you may see is indeed a false image, and it will be far better for you to close your eyes and then imagine that you are looking into the spiritual image of you. And if you do this correctly, what you will see is a very powerful being of light standing before you. It is a being that would stand before you in purity and in great power. And what this higher being, which is yourself, is wanting to do, is wanting to step through your chakra doorways of consciousness and sit more closely with you. For as when you do descend from the spiritual world through the dimensions into the materialization of Earth, it is like a distillation process, but in reverse. And it is very difficult for the higher aspects of yourself to condense into the material form of your body. And this is where the free will of each of you comes into account. For you can then exercise your free will as to whether you wish to continue your life as a material, intellectual being as such, relying more on your outer senses, or whether you wish to inculcate and bring down the higher aspect of your soul and your spirit. And as you choose to exercise this kind of discipline or exertion through proper approaches, of which there are many, you will enable yourself to be more present and more powerful within your life here upon the earth. And if you can place into perspective that some in history have dedicated their life to spiritual pursuits, what they can achieve are eternal gifts of the soul. Indeed, maybe even one of you or each of you at different incarnations has given yourselves over to extended periods of study or prayer in terms of understanding the mysteries of your life. And so each of you have brought back into this world certain components or certain preparations to enable you to reconnect to the spiritual world in varying degrees. But despite all of that, each of you have your free will, the free will at your disposal to go as far as you wish, or to just keep that little bit of daily practice just to enable a gentle flow to run through you. There are different degrees, and there is no right nor wrong for this. But through your gentle initial connection spiritually, as you sit in your own space, you will get to know yourself, and you'll get to understand how closely you are connected to your purpose here upon the earth. And the purpose for each of you may be very different. And for some of you, it is very much a personal journey. And for some of you, it is very much a worldly journey with so much scope in between. It is not as if everyone who comes into the world must save the world. Some of it is more about your own inner preparation for future times. Some of it is about your own interpersonal journey here with others in your soul group, that you may facilitate and enable them to learn their life lessons. And what is incumbent upon you is to carry yourself with a certain air and a certain dignity, or a certain level of empathy and acceptance that will enable or facilitate this soul learning, which is quite important for loved ones, for family and friends whom you encounter. And in doing so, as you live your life in a meaningful way, you can unlock the door and the secrets to yourself. And in going on this inner journey, you can understand so much and glean so much wisdom and knowledge, not only of yourself in this life, but from previous lives, and your place within the incarnated world. Your place within the spirit world is a different thing altogether. But we are all from Source. We are all here to share a mutual purpose, which then plays out in the unique way that each of you conduct your life and exercise your free will within it. This exorcism of your free will as such, you can apply your free will to any endeavor, to any pursuit. And as you direct it more to spiritual pursuits, your ability then to achieve what you want to achieve becomes more fluid and becomes more, you have more capacity to manifest the changes or the dreams or the aspirations that you have in your life. And as you continue and have a regular practice of connecting, you are able to see when the flow of life is ready to change. And it is sometimes not a question of whether you have achieved or aspired to the high goals of what you have set out to achieve, but whether you have learnt the soul lessons from it, and whether you have developed certain skills and certain experiences from it. That is more the pinnacle of success when walking on a spiritual pathway. And then following the flow of that to what could be a new endeavor, but all along the way, respecting and connecting spiritually with those around you so that you are facilitating the learning of life lessons, the clearing of past karmas, and for you yourself to become the masters of your soul on this journey. And if we then consider that journey, where you are like a soul traveling through a world of soul, it is a non-physical world, but you perceive it as people with arms and legs, with heads and hands and hearts. But it is quite different from that. For that is just a physical way of conveyance for your soul. And as your soul is conveyed through the journey of your earth, it is a working of the soul upon the souls of others, which is that of more significance and importance on a spiritual level. And the light and the energy and the mood and the capacity with which your soul moves upon the earth is a far more powerful and determining factor on you achieving your life purpose. And there are ways through connecting with spirit that you may imbue your soul with various qualities, awakening certain capacities that will enable you to live more fruitful and purposeful lives in a spiritual, esoteric manner, as distinct from apparent material success. One does not deny the other, however, and we're very aware as spiritual beings that you are living in a material world, and as such must maintain the adequate balance between each. And finding this balance is this part of connecting with the spiritual world, for most people are disconnected from it and are living without the balance and without the sustenance. So for each of you, finding the sustenance emotionally, spiritually, consuming the soul food as such, which is available to you. Whilst the challenges of your life may not change, your capacity to steer your ship through the turmoil and the heavy seas of your life. Your ship can be protected, it can be insulated, and it can be understanding and know where to flow and which buffets to absorb and learn from, and which ones to steer directly through. So become the captains of your life, become the captains of your soul journey through the turmoil of your life, become the captain of your ship through the calm times, and know the direction in which to channel your free will so that your life is purposeful and harmonious with the great divine and your own personal divine plan. Many blessings to you all. And just allow the vibration of this mood to work into your soul. And just also allow the mood of this channeling to work as like a radio signal for your own guides to send messages to you, or even for your higher self now to speak with you. And now what I'd like you to do is think of one thing in your life for which you should have gratitude for, whether it is something immediately present or something in your past. Think of one thing for which you can express gratitude for. And just express that gratitude spiritually or even to your higher self. And even if it's been a life of hardship, it could be the gratitude for the lessons learned and the wisdom gained from it. And the fact that you are still here with your free will to open up a door into a light-filled space. I'd like you to imagine that there is a doorway before you. It may be a double door, a sliding door. And beyond that door is light, a place of light and hope. I'd just like you to imagine the door is being opened. You can open it yourself, or you can ask that the guide opens it for you. And now you can imagine you're just stepping forward to the doorway. Just feel the light coming through from what's before you. It's like a doorway to the future, and you're allowing your future destiny of light to radiate upon you and already to become part of you. And you can also imagine that you are turning around, so it is radiating upon your back as well, upon your arms and hands, legs of course, just absorbing this light. Now we're going to imagine we're just going to sit back down into our physical space with our body of light. Just imagine you are sitting back down with your body of light where you physically sit. Now we have opened ourselves up to lower frequencies through our lower emotions. So physically just place your hands around your sacral chakra, solar plexus area. Take in a big long breath and hold your breath. Just imagine that the lower solar plexus and the sacral chakras are just slowing themselves back down to their normal size and speed. Then on the out breath, just releasing any psychic and emotional connections that no longer serve our higher good. And now just wrap yourself, imagine that you're wrapping yourself in a bubble of protection. So you can just imagine all the good vibration that's around you, that you're just now drawing it more closely into your physical body. And then wrapping it with a bubble of protective light to seal in all the goodness. And to take this, for some of you, you can take this into your sleep state. And finally, just before we finish here, we can just send a moment of gratitude to our guides for working with us, even to ourselves for making the effort to be here. And for myself, I'm just thanking the spiritual guides who worked to bring the channeling through, the address through. Also thanking the guides and the people who helped me communicate, particularly with Emily just before, but also with other people here as well. So it all takes effort from the other side, and I wish to acknowledge that. And there's also like a bubble of vibration of light that is combining us together in this space. And I'm sending my appreciation to the other people in the world, the spirit world, who've helped bring that together. So now just take a deep breath and wriggle your fingers and toes and just bring yourself back into a waking state. And I'm also just inviting any questions, any comments, anyone who would like to share anything. Well, we've got a few minutes to do so. Okay, a few bleary eyes there, including mine. Carol, you've got your video on there. How did you find that? Do you feel that you've moved a little bit since the start of the session? How's it been for you so far? Well, you'll have to unmute yourself too, I think.
I got a little lost sometimes, but I felt like I was inside of a sphere that was on fire. I wasn't on fire, and then that was on water, and the water was moving, and I was just moving around comfortably.
Okay. All right. And I've just reading a message in there from, I've got a couple of messages just come through in that moment. Where was it? Lauren just put a message in the chat too. So Lauren, you can feel free to switch your microphone on if you like, Lauren, and share that with us audibly if you want to. Okay. All right. Emily, how did you go? Is this a familiar kind of, well, Carol, is this a familiar style of meditation for you, or is this a new kind of way of connecting?
No, it's kind of new.
Okay. Yeah, you get used to it after a while and it becomes a bit more flows. At the first, it's just a bit clunky. What's this guy talking about kind of thing? Can I picture this? But eventually it just flows through, a bit like riding a bike, I guess. That's a bit how it rolls. How about you, Emily?
Well, I'm familiar with this style of meditation, but there were specific visuals that I found particularly powerful, especially the door. At one point you said to the future with all the light coming in and making sure that not only did you absorb the light from the front, but you turn around and get it in the back. And I found that a very powerful visual, and I really loved the full channeled message. I felt very close to it, and it feels from like a place of real love, and it gives me a lot of hope that the message in its entirety, but all the visuals I found very helpful, and found oddly enough the opposite of clunky, a very smooth transition from all of it. But I can't take credit for that. Just something else was guiding me, and I found it very helpful.
Okay. How would you say, it's a past life thing here too, Emily, with you, that you have done a lot of healing work in a past life. People would have referred to you as a witch, but I'm not talking about black magic or that kind of thing. I'm talking about, working with healing herbs and working with much higher things, but people don't like that. So back then they didn't like it because you were a powerful soul. So like many of us, you probably lost your life doing that kind of thing. But you've actually brought back quite a deal of that power. It's actually around you, and it's just like he just press a few buttons and it's all coming back for you. Okay, so I feel that you're going to read for others. You've brought a lot back, Emily. So just hang in there and keep doing this stuff, whether it's with me or whoever. But find the groove. And
Yes.
there's someone I know here in Sydney who they go to one of their friends goes to another meditation group, and she says to me, "Oh, look, they go there and they've got to go every week. It's like they've just got to commit to it. It's like a cult or something." And really, that's what you need to do. You need to turn up for yourself, wherever it is, whether it's on here or whether it's in your own space, every time, every week. And maybe I try and do 10 minutes a day as a minimum, but I try and turn up every same time every week and just commit to it and say, this, my higher self and my higher spirit is the most important thing in this world right now. Everything else, just for that half an hour or whatever it is, an hour, can just sit back for a moment, because this is me. And this is the approach you need to take. And when you do that, you're actually empowering your spiritual people to be with you as well. And they say, right, Emily's now serious about this. We're going to turn up too. But if you don't turn up, they'll think, oh, well. So,
I'm willing to do my part, whereas I wasn't about an hour ago. So this is very cool for me.
Okay, well, hang in there. I'm usually on a different time each week. Are you in Dallas? Did you say?
Yes, Dallas.
Yeah, I normally do 8 p.m. Friday night your time. That's my regular crew on here.
Well, I would love to be a part of that.
Okay. It should be listed on the meetup group there, but otherwise just message me and I'll plug you in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I'm very open and welcome to any other quick questions or anything before we go. But otherwise, I'm going to switch off and probably go and have a snooze for another hour before it's my breakfast time.
Do it. You've earned it.
Yeah. Okay. So look, I'd love to see you all again back on here before too long. So people in the UK, if you're in the UK, I normally do a session which is probably a bit tricky for some of you. It's usually about 11 a.m. on a Thursday, but I'll try and do this particular session fortnightly, but it's a tricky one for me. But I'm just saying what the demand is for this time slot, and if people want it, I'll keep doing it. But yeah, we'll see how we go.
Thank you, Roger.
Okay, go well, and see you all very soon. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Roger. That was amazing.
Thank you, Mari, and always appreciate your support too.
Oh my goodness gracious. That was amazing. I love your meditations. Can you call me every morning?
Oh, come on.
With that, thank you again so much.
Okay, we'll probably see you Friday night. Okay, bye for now, everyone.